Okay, everybody, it's time for Week 12's power rankings. I'm going to work my way down from, or I should say up from 10 to number 1. With respect to the AFC South, I don't have a single representative on here this week. Houston got knocked out pretty pretty handedly by Baltimore, but that's okay. I'm not really overreacting to that. Indianapolis, they're a little banged up. Basically, I'm letting that Thursday night football showdown make this decision for me in the next week. So rest assured, one of these two teams will be in the top there. I also do like the Tennessee Titans. They're just not good enough to crack the list yet. I like a couple other teams, but those are the ones I wanted to specifically call out. We will start with number 10 on this list, the Buffalo Bills. According to Bovada, they are at plus 6,600 to win the Super Bowl, so still 66 to 1 if anybody likes that action. What I do like about Buffalo is that Josh Allen he just had a great game, maybe the best game of his career. I've been waiting on Buffalo's offense to really take control of a game. They finally did that against Miami. I think the world's like, oh, well, who cares? It's Miami. Well, Miami's defense had been playing better up to that point. They had been playing hard, and Buffalo just came out and throttled them. So that's what you want to see. That's growth. That's offensive growth. It's hard to win games in the NFL, even against teams that are kind of in the bottom of the league. Buffalo did what they should have, and they won that game. Good for them. Number 9 on my list is the Oakland Raiders. They stay on this list. They're at plus 6,000 to win the Super Bowl. I like them. They continue to get better. This defense continues to get better. The secondary continues to get better, which is important. Derek Carr is playing very efficient. They can run the ball. They've been banged up, but they continue to win games. Now, everybody kind of thought that this Cincinnati game would have been a little bit easier. Maybe they'd score a little bit more points. 17-10 game, but they won the game. That's what matters. To me, I was watching that game. It looked like Oakland might have been overlooking them, but credit Cincinnati for playing tough at this point in the season with them still winless. But yeah, Oakland, I've been impressed with what they've been able to do. They have a manageable schedule towards the end of this year. They could still continue this run that they're on. They're a good team. Everybody's got to pay attention to them. Number 8 on my list, they're back in the top 10 this week after a 1-week punishment. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're at plus 1,000. So you see the jump according to Bovada here. So it goes 6,600 to 6,000. Now we're all the way at plus 1,000. And there are some other teams out there left off the list that still have good odds that I didn't include. But the Kansas City Chiefs at plus 1,000 are on the list. I like what they're doing. Now, could you make the argument that they should have won and maybe more impressive? Was it sloppy? The bottom line is that they won the game. And what I really liked is that the defense and the offense did enough to win the game. It wasn't the defense winning with Patrick Mahomes out. It wasn't the offense putting up 40 points and the defense just kind of letting things slip. And another thing is the game was in Mexico. I hate these games that go outside the country and outside the regular confines. It puts too much variance in there. The altitude was ridiculous, but they managed to win the game. They get back on the list. They're tied in the loss column with Oakland. If Oakland wins this weekend against the Jets, both of these teams, the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs, will be 7-4. Very, very interesting. And once again, Kansas City, according to Bovada, is plus 1,000. Minnesota, by the way, my number 7 team, is at plus 1,600, according to Bovada. I liked what they did. They were down 20-0 against Denver. Now, I thought Denver was going to play them a lot more tough than maybe other people thought. I thought, honestly, when Denver went out to that 20-point lead, I thought Denver's defense was going to be able to carry the day. But I don't love what Denver's offense has been doing. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins put them on his back, led them down to a victory. So awesome for Minnesota. They can win the games offensively. They can win their games defensively. Adam Thielen's been out, and they're still reeling off victories. This offense is doing what it has to do to win and to create mismatches. They're a very, very dangerous team. I think, anybody, from 8 and up, I don't really consider Oakland a Super Bowl threat yet, and maybe not Buffalo either, but anybody from Kansas City up to number 1 on this list, I think, can win the Super Bowl. Minnesota being one of these teams, once again at plus 1,600. Number 6 on my list, the Green Bay Packers. According to Bovada, they're at plus 1,000 to win the Super Bowl. They were on bye week. It's easy to forget about these bye week teams, but again, they can run the ball, they can play defense, and you have to like a team that has Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Number 5 on my list is the Seattle Seahawks. Bovada has them at plus 1,400 to win the Super Bowl. Same deal. They were on bye week. I'm not going to move them up or down on the list. They had a really nice victory against San Francisco beforehand. San Francisco's been banged up. I have not moved them because I haven't talked about San Francisco yet. Obviously, they're on this list. I have not moved them ahead of San Francisco in spite of that win. But the deal is this team's really good. They can run the ball. I'm not sure sure about their defense, but Russell Wilson is having an MVP caliber season. I know there's a ton of talk, and deservedly so, about Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson. For me, I think it's a two-horse race at this point in my book between Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson. But, there's still a lot of season left to be played, so let's see where that goes. Number 5, I did talk about Seattle there. Number 4 on my list, moving down one spot, is the New England Patriots at plus 240. Now, plus 240, according to Bovada, is the best odds to win the Super Bowl. Their odds actually improved, or I should say they actually improved in their odds to win the Super Bowl. They were at, I think, plus 250 last week. The win against Philadelphia pushes them to plus 240. The reason I moved them down is some other teams looked a little bit more impressive, and New England's offense, they just haven't shown it, and their inability to really get the running game going on a consistent level bothers me. Now, I have faith that by the end of the season, they'll still be up there, and they're still obviously a Super Bowl threat. Any team with Belichick coaching and Tom Brady playing quarterback is a Super Bowl threat. They have probably the NFL's best defense this year. Certainly statistically this year, that is the case. So I moved them down a little bit because I want to see a little bit more from the offense, specifically being able to run the ball. But of course, credit Philadelphia's defense, which is pretty good as well. Number 3 on this list, the New Orleans Saints. They did move up one spot on this list. They are at plus 600. They came out. It wasn't a shock to me. I mean, I certainly bet hard on them to cover the spread after they lost to the Atlanta Falcons. They took care of business against the Tampa Bay Bucks. They kind of got things rolling in the right direction. We'll see if they can keep it going, but, they're a good bet too, literally. Number 2 on my list, the San Francisco 49ers. They moved down a spot from last week. They're at plus 650 according to Bovada in the Super Bowl. Look, I still love the 49ers. You don't have George Kittle. The entire wide receiver core is banged up. You have some running backs banged up. You have offensive linemen back. Everybody's banged up. They've been banged up all year, and they're still a one-loss team. They came back impressively against the Cardinals to win that game. The Cardinals are no slouch either. They're a very good team, I think, or at least an underrated team. So, yeah, I like the San Francisco 49ers quite a bit. I moved them down specifically because number 1 on my list, the Baltimore Ravens at plus 500, eviscerated what I think is a good Houston Texans team. I thought that was going to be a shootout. Well, it was one way, right? Baltimore scored their points, but holy moly, they are just ripping through teams right now. You got to give respect. Respect is due. I know that Baltimore's a 2-loss team. San Francisco's a 1-loss team. I get it. I know that New England's a 1-loss team, and they lost to Baltimore. But Baltimore, I don't even care about those 2 early season losses. They're just playing so good right now. Lamar Jackson's feeling it. The defense is improving week to week. They're just really, really, really good. I'm looking forward to watching them. They play the Rams, which is a very interesting game. I already started digging into that matchup. Obviously, it does favor the Baltimore Ravens, but it's a good matchup. Check out the game plan videos that come out on this channel later in the week. It'll be an interesting kind of deep dive into that game. But once again, Baltimore at plus 500 to win the Super Bowl, according to Bovada. That is the second best odds behind New England to win the Super Bowl. New Orleans would be next at the plus 600, and San Francisco at plus 650. So there you go. That takes me through my power rankings. Please let me know your power rankings. If you're whether you're listening to this on the podcast or you're listening to this on YouTube or watching this on YouTube, comment. Let me know what your top 10 is. Let us know what you think, what you disagree with, what you agree with, and let's get a conversation going. For those of us who are listening to our podcast, back to the show. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll catch you on another episode soon. Thanks, everyone.